Okay, you guys, so we're about to be doing don PPE and emptying a urine drainage bag, measuring and recording output. So this is, and then doffing. So this is honestly them just putting donning and doffing PPE together and then emptying your urinary drainage bag, okay? So how do I know what I need for this skill? I look through it, but you are going to need your gown, your PPE gown, your PPE mask or shield. You're going to need some gloves. You're going to need a protective barrier. You're going to need the basin to put the urine in. You're going to need a cloth to wipe it. You're going to need a pen, and you're going to need a piece of paper, okay? So I always say at the top of your skills, make sure you have it written down exactly what you need. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Now, the reason why I'm outside of the classroom, the lab, instead of inside of the lab, because technically when you're putting on PPE, you're supposed to do it before entering the room, okay? So first step, like I say, I always have my book because I'm showing you how you can practice at home. So you want to make sure, first step, it says perform hand hygiene. I'm performing hand hygiene. I always tell you, if you don't want to get this on your hands, you still do the motions. If you don't want your hands to dry out, then you want to unfold the gown. Now we're in class, a classroom setting. Of course, these gowns have been used multiple times, but I always say make sure you set up your area how you want to practice. So fold your gown. Okay, so we're simply just going to unfold the gown. Okay, now that we've unfolded the gown, we're going to put on the gown fully, covering the torso, wrapping the gown around the back. And then we're going to fasten the neck, and then we're going to fasten the waist. So you want to try to always touch the inside of the gown. Remember, when you open it, try to touch, when you unfold it, still try to touch just the inside of the gown. Touching the inside of the gown. Now, if you go somewhere and test where they don't have that available, of course, just put the gown on as possible. I always say some of us might be too big to tie the gown, but just do the motions. Don't just be like, all right, it's tied. Say, no, I'm tying the top and I'm tying the bottom. We're going to try not to knot these because, once again, these are reusable for class. So we tied the neck and we tied the waist, okay? So then you're going to put on your goggles, and then you're going to put on your gloves. I will give you guys, these goggles are hard to see out of. Make sure you remember when you put on your gloves, you extend it over the wrist. Okay, I got on my PPE. How you doing today, Miss Jones? I'm going to go ahead and empty your urinary drainage bag. So I always say when you do these skills, think of it as real life. Right now, we are basically just emptying a bag for somebody who is required to use PPE. They just want to know you know how to put on PPE, take it off, and you know how to empty the urinary drainage bag. Now, I know it might be a little confusing because in the book, it doesn't say introduce yourself. Well, it says explain it, but it don't say like introduce yourself. It don't say all of that, but you still want to do it anytime you're entering and you're seeing a patient. You still want to introduce yourself. So I'm gonna have this book in my hand because, like I said, I'm showing you guys how to practice with the book. Okay, so now we explained the procedure. We're going to always do what? Provide privacy. And if we're working in the bed, we do what? We raise the bed. And always between mid-thigh and waist level. Then we're going to place our barrier on the floor. This is our barrier. Now we're going to place the graduate on the previous placed barrier. This is our graduate to collect our urine. Now we're going to open the drain and allow the urine to flow into the graduate until the bag is empty. Avoid touching the graduate with the tip of tubing, and then we're going to close the drain and wipe the drain. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my wipe before I bend down. Now, I know you guys are like, what is this cup for? This cup is just basically showing my urinary drainage, okay? Wherever you are, some of them might have catheters where they already have the urine inside of the catheter, and some will not. Some will literally have to pour the urine in the bag, okay? So I wanted to show this to you if you do not know. But I'm sure you're learning in class. You guys might just be at different places, so I just want to show you. This is a urinary catheter, and this right here is where the urine will sit, okay? So when it says it's this, so when you empty a catheter, you have to empty it into a container, okay? So you want to go ahead and, like I said, we open it, and all of them are different how you open it. This one you just pull down, okay? All right, now it says you want to then, now that you pulled it out of the holder, you want to then go ahead and open it so the urine comes out. Once again, all of them are different. The one at the school, you just push back and forth. So typically the urine will start coming out and it will be pouring here. If you noticed in the book, it said make sure the tip of the catheter does not touch this. You will get flagged for this. So just make sure you have the urine and it's flowing into the container seamlessly. Once all the urine is in there, it said you want to take a wipe and wipe it off and then close it and then just put it back in. Okay, so now it's telling us to go ahead and lower the bed. So we're going to go ahead and lower the bed. And I just got this area showing because that's all you really need to see. And then it says to place the graduate on a flat surface. Typically, you guys, you've learned from now, anytime that you are getting fluids or liquids or anything, you're going to have to measure it, okay? Remember, we measure it in cc's, and ccmls is the same thing. When you're looking at the graduate, it'll say, this is ounces. We don't measure in ounces. We measure in cc's. And you always want it on a flat surface because if you're holding it like this, it can read something that is not accurate. So I always say, think through these steps. When you're doing activities of daily living, you are literally doing things that you're taking care of the resident. Okay, I'm simply emptying their catheter for someone who has a catheter. Okay, obviously we have to read and see how much urine they have, because what if they're not, what if they are dehydrated? What if they're not outputting urine? You know, so think through your skills when you're doing it. Okay, so it says go ahead and place that on a flat surface. With the graduate at eye level, you got to read the output. So I know, you guys, with this, it is hard, but you got to do it, okay? So if you got to look through it. Don't touch your mask like I just did, but try to read. Remember, CC's, okay? We have a mental note of what it is, okay? Now it says empty the graduate into the designated container, and then we're going to rinse, dry, and return equipment to storage. Okay, so remember, you always get a mental note, then you empty it into the designated container wherever they tell you. It might be a sink, it might be a toilet. So I know what's in here. I don't write it down yet. Let me go ahead and empty it. Okay, then it says rinse and dry my equipment and return to storage. So right now, this is the only equipment I have. So I'm going to, wherever their sink is, rinse, dry, and wherever their storage is, I'm going to go ahead and return it to storage. Leave the resident in a comfortable position. Are you okay? I hope you're having a phenomenal day. Then it says record the output, and you got to be in 25 ml. So when go ahead and record in mls when we're recording this. I'm just going to go whatever sheet they have, put mls. So if you got 100 mls, do 100 mls. Whatever sheet they have, make sure you do the mls. And then you want to make sure you get the rest of, when they say return and store equipment, you can also get this this pad, and then you can get the wipe also if you wanted to. Well, I would do that at the same time. Well, no, I'm sorry. I would just get the pad at the same time. You can keep the wipe because you can throw the wipe away when you throw the other equipment away. Okay, so now it says remain respect and give them the call light. Hope you're having a great day. Here's your call light. Okay, we got to remove our gloves. Remember, you can touch the outside of the gloves when you have a glove on. Roll it down, ball it up, stick our finger. So this wipe, you can throw it away when you throw it away with this, but if you do, make sure you touch it like you're not touching it. Or to just be easier, when you're throwing all that other stuff away, like I said, you can, when you're putting up the storage equipment, you can't just go ahead and throw that away. So we're going to go ahead, put that in the trash, our designated container. Now, if we put it in a designated container, we dispose of gloves. It says remove goggles, and you got to remove it by lifting the earpieces. So like this. And then you want to place it in whatever designated container. I'm going to say my designated container is over here. And then you are going to take off the gown. And you always do it the neck, waist, and you never touch the inside of the gown. Okay, so we're going to do the neck. Unfasten the neck, unfasten the waist. Sorry, you always only touch the inside. You see how I'm touching the inside and not this outside? So always only touch the inside when you roll it off. Don't shake it. Don't do none of that. Just simply roll it off. Make sure it does not ever touch your uniform. Make sure you're still only touching the inside, because you got to think. You're putting on PPE when? If somebody has an airborne illness, if somebody has some type of illness, that is why you're putting it on. So like I said, always think yourself through the skills. Okay, so we took our gown off. We put it in a designated container. Okay, guys, so one of the first skills you learned was hand washing. So I always say, if it says hand washing, we know that hand sanitizer can be hand hygiene, but if it says you have to wash your hands, you wash your hands. So what do? We go back over to the sink. We wet all wrists, all surfaces of our hands and in the wrist, and do not without soap. Then we go ahead and apply soap, and we rub our hands together using friction. For how long? 20 seconds while not under the water. When we're rinsing, after the 20 seconds, our fingers are always pointed down, interlaced, rinsing. When we pull it out, do we shake? We never, ever shake, okay? Pull it out of the water, grab a paper towel, dry your hands off, throw that away. Pull a paper towel, turn the sink off, throw that away, okay? Hand washing is in a lot of other videos, so I just didn't want to make it repetitive, but you guys know how to hand wash. All right, that's the end of this skill.